So during this Black Clover time skip, during the battle of the Dark Triad, we have been seeing a lot of characters get these amazing power-ups. Runes, true magic come into play, amazing power-ups with Mana Zone and Mana Skin. We have been seeing a lot. But of course, out of everyone's power-ups we've seen so far, the one that I'm most impressed by is Asta. If we exclude Yami, of course, because during the 6-month time skip, I knew that Yami was going to get a massive power boost. He's my favorite character in the series, so I wasn't surprised what he did to Dante. Yami definitely did the most impressive feat in the time skip so far, and I still believe he hasn't shown us his full power yet. However, Asta's moment against Dante was more impactful for me because he went berserk seeing Ghost go down, and we seen Asta break through his limits, but it still wasn't enough to beat Dante. That was by far the strongest Asta we have ever seen, and the strongest state his swords have ever been in. His swords became like black whips. But speaking of Asta's anti-magic swords, the sword I want to focus on today is the Demon Dweller Sword. His purpose of the sword is growth and its hidden ability, the evolution of the sword that Asta hasn't fully tapped into yet, and how this can just be a massive power boost for Asta throughout the story. So, we know that Asta found the sword in chapter 18 during the battle against Mars in the dungeon. And Asta finding this Demon Dweller sword changed his fighting style completely. It made him a better mage because Asta's biggest problem throughout the series in the beginning was fighting mages with long range attacks that can shoot out fast attack spells. During that time, Asta was not strong enough to swing his Demon Slayer sword fast enough to dodge those attacks or negate those attacks. Even though now it's sort of not a huge problem now that he has his black form, but still, it can be an issue if the character is just simply stronger than Asta and move faster than him. He still has to utilize his other swords. But now with the Demon Dweller sword, he now has the ability to block all those fast barrage attack spells. In his battle against Mars, the Demon Slayer sword was his weakness during this fight because the weight of the sword and his size, he just wasn't strong enough to swing the sword fast enough. But that quickly changed once he got the Demon Dweller sword. One thing that was very impressive and very odd during this fight is when Noel told Asta to defeat that guy. And he just got this surge of motivation, and Noel's magic energy just transferred to Asta's Demon Dweller sword, and he was able to use a water spell attack. That attack spell was so powerful, borrowing Noel's magic power, that it knocked out Mars for a good while, that he had to use recovery magic. It was the weirdest thing that happened because once it happened, Asta's sword became blue, like Noel's water magic, and just had the aura around it. No one had any idea in their mind of how that Asta did that. Asta himself didn't even know how he did that. However, this same occurrence happened again during the battle in the dungeon against Sally and Borrow. Ghost told Asta that he will protect him, and soon right after that, Asta borrowed Ghost's power, his mirror magic, and used it in an attack spell. But the odd thing here on this occasion was that he didn't even call out his Demon Dweller sword. It came out on his own. And Asta stated, didn't this happen that one time, referring to the battle against Mars when he took Noel's magic power. That was the last time his Demon Dweller sword acted like that with Asta. That was about 200 plus chapters ago in the Black Clover story. So Asta hasn't, till this day, had tapped into that sort of power. But the good thing is that we know that this could happen again. When Asta met Julius for the first time, he showed him his Demon Dweller sword that he found, and the sword was draining Julius' magic power. Imagine if Asta was in a combat situation and absorbed Julius' magic power and used a time slashing attack from his swords. That would be broken, right? But we know that it's not impossible. That can happen. We've seen that Licht when he had the swords. The Demon Dweller sword was able to steal Yuno's Spirit Storm attack and was able to send it right back into him. Raya stated that that's one of the true powers of the Demon Dweller sword. That wasn't one of Licht's sword magic spells, that was the Demon Dweller sword spells, because I know a lot of people get that mixed up with the sword magic and Demon Dweller sword powers, two different things. But we seen during this fight when Yuno used Mana Zone Spirit Storm against Licht, he was able to absorb so much power and condense it into a phenomenal spell and send it right back into them full force. And it makes sense for Licht to utilize the Demon Dweller sword like this in its full capacity because he is a master with the swords. He's the one that had them first. It was like he's designed to have the swords before they became anti-magic swords. When I look back at this fight now, it's almost as if Licht was doing a training session with Yuno and Asta because he purposely went to Asta and he could have taken any sword, but he stole the Demon Dweller sword, and it was almost like he was showing Asta, let me show you how to fully utilize the power of the Demon Dweller sword. Because if Asta was able to use the Demon Dweller's sword like Licht did during that fight, he would be a more dangerous fighter. But one of the spells that Licht did during this fight, Asta now can use that as well. When Licht was swinging the Demon Dweller's sword, you seen the power of his sword magic coming out in white slashes. Then we seen Asta in chapter 230, he used the power of the Demon Dweller's sword and his anti-magic using a spell with black slashes. This is definitely indication that Asta took notice and took inspiration from the way that Licht used his powers with the Demon Dweller's sword, and Asta implied it with his own. But so far it seems as though that is the only power that he took from Licht that he applied it with his own. He hasn't really learned how to fully master the Demon Dweller's sword just yet. But the time skip showed us that Asta is learning very rapidly, and I think that once he learns how to use the power of the Demon Dweller's sword, when someone uses an attack spell against him and he absorbs their magic just like what Licht did and send it right back into them, he's going to be a stronger mage. So that's one of the dormant powers that Asta hasn't tapped into yet, but it's going to be real cool to see once he does this. Now, another power that Licht has showed us with the power of the Demon Dweller's sword is that he's able to borrow the energy, the magic power of his allies around him, but more in particular, their mana. Which we know that this sword does have the ability to steal one's mana, but Licht showed us a greater scale that this sword is able to steal one's mana, even his allies that's not even close to him. By doing that, he was able to create probably one of the greatest spells we've seen in Black Clover yet, Ultimate Sword Magic, Demon Dweller's Sword Conquering Aeon. This attack spell could have killed Zagreus, but Licht missed his heart. Notice right after he did this, he looked right back at Asta when he seen Zagreus regenerate. This look that he gave Asta was letting Asta know that you too have the ability to do something like this as well, and since you have anti-magic, you can actually finish the job and kill Zagreus. Asta was so amazed by this, he even stated himself that that's the true power of that sword. So Asta knows and is fully aware that he has to surpass that, especially that being Licht, and he knows that Licht used the swords way better than he could. And we know that Asta is learning the abilities that Licht has used in the past, and now Asta is using it but in his own way. I think the evolution of Asta's power is right there in our face in regards to the powers of the Demon Dweller's sword. This could be the key of defeating the Dark Triad. We know that Asta's Black Asta form is getting stronger and stronger. It's important, but I believe the swords are just as important as his Black Asta form, because the swords are the tools that help his anti-magic flow through the swords to obtain those forms. And I believe the foreshadowing is there. We know how Tabata is with foreshadowing, but I believe that this will happen to Asta's powers, and I think the Demon Dweller sword will be key, and I think it's going to be a huge step up. But overall, comment below and tell me what you think about this. What powers do you see Asta obtaining with his Demon Dweller sword? And also, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe with notification bells if you are new. You guys take care of yourself, have an awesome life, and I'm out.